The first time I set foot in the Abbey for the EML course of that year was in 2019. And guess what? I'm sitting here in robes. I'm sitting here as if I have been ordained for a long time and talk from a lot of experience to other people following the EML. And together with a lot of people who joined in that 2019 EML course who are now in robes. That's amazing. And it feels a bit strange to do this while I am now participating in the EML course. But it is wonderful to be able to do so, to have this time together, to reflect on monastic life. And I guess that exploring monastic life is something that we do until death do us part. In some of the previous BBCs, some have pointed out some of the advantages of living as a monastic. What they left implicit is that many of those advantages come from living in a monastic community. And that's quite different from living as a single monastic among lay people, even if they are Dharma practitioners. That's not meant to belittle the practice of the lay people or from the monastics, far from that, but it's really difficult to live a monastic life without the support of a community. And it's also quite different from living together with other monastics without forming a community. Again, each monastic in such a group may be a devoted practitioner and do a lot of beneficial activities, nothing wrong with that. But what is missing is the support of a Sangha, especially those who've lived in a monastic community for a longer time. And I think the most important advantages from living in this monastic community, because it is exceptional. There is no other place like this. And what exactly is a monastic community? Let's say as a working definition that it's a group of monastics who live together, study together, and practice together. And not just sharing the same building and each doing their own studies at the same time and doing their own practice even in the same room, but actually, there's nothing wrong with that, but what it means is learning with, through, and because of each other, and to put into practice what the Buddha taught. It means that when some affliction arises, and this happens quite easily when you live together with other people, to work with our minds and to help one another doing so, because this happens to everyone. And the Abbey is unique in that it happens in a modern-day Western context, taking into account the backgrounds of Western monastics. So as monastics, what we want is to develop renunciation and bodhicitta. And to do that, we need to part from the 8 worldly concerns and to let go of our slogan, I want what I want when I want it. And to do that on our own, in a world that blazes this slogan in our sense faculties days and night, is incredibly difficult. And it's all the more difficult because we grew up as individuals in an individualistic society. For many of us, it's quite trying to live together with others. We need space. We need all kinds of special things. So living in the Abbey as rocks in a tumbler can be quite challenging. But we learn, each in our own pace, to become more flexible, to let go of unhealthy thoughts and behavior, and to laugh at ourselves and others, and to be creative. So Venerable Choni told not so long ago that she once drew a picture of how she saw herself. I won't go into detail, you can ask her, but it inspired me. And I was pondering, well, what picture would I draw of myself? I came up with this. I think that for nobody in this room this rings any bells, but this is quite familiar to the lieve kijkbuiskinderen in Nederland, or rather to the dinosaurs in the Netherlands, because this is a character from the precursor of Sesame Street that was prominent when I was a kid. So it's she's called Truus de Mier, or rather Trude the Ant, and she is an anxious, frantic sort of person and a diligent cleaner. If her surroundings are not neat, tidy, and spotless, she doesn't feel at ease. And she also has quite strong opinions. And thinking about all these shoots, I realized that they are a disguise of I want. I want to do what I want, what I wanted. I want you to do what I want you to do when I want it. I want everybody to do what I want when I want it. And somehow I put the responsibility to some higher authority. And I'm just the executor of that, what needs to be done. But this is just a disguise. So, what kinds of things should everybody be doing? Well, this can manifest in one of the following ways. When I came to the Abbey, I was, of course, dedicated to the practice, everything that was done at the Abbey, and willing to contribute to all that needs to be done. At the same time, there were many other things that should be done. If there was no space for that, I still tried to do them in my free time, of which we don't have so much, on purpose, but I still tried. And I got stressed, I got overworked, I got sick. At some point, everybody who comes here crashes. So I crash. Better a crash than a crush. Not too long ago, I was clearly told, you're not doing this. You will be doing that. But I wanted to do this. But within minutes, I realized that it was so right. My training is not about what I want to do, but what I need to do to progress on the path and to eventually support others on their path. And I don't have a complete overview of what's going on at the Abbey. And I don't know the priorities. It's confusing for others if I'm doing all kinds of unexpected things, even though they may be helpful and supporting. So I did as instructed, and I'm very grateful for this guidance. It cleared up things in my mind and in all of my aggregates, and slowly, very slowly, I'm getting to learn about myself, how what skills I have can be useful for the community, and also how to respect my limitations, and how to learn new skills that are helpful. I know I still haven't signed up for cooking lunch, that's still too scary, but it may come someday. And especially learning how to set priorities, to make real choices instead of wishy-washy ones, and to let go of that which cannot be done. If I don't learn to feel at ease with these aggregates as they are, I'll continue to live in states of anxiety and stress, just as I've done for most of my life. There's so much one can learn in a monastic community, not just intellectually from the teachings, but from life together, from our fellow monastics. We have two wonderful teachers here at the Abbey, but in fact, everyone here is a teacher. There is no escape. Everyone here will at some point push our buttons, and we learn how to deal with that, each in our own way, each in our own pace. And what I'm learning mostly and what I value mostly is that monasticism is not about me. It's about the continuation and the harmony in the Sangha. It's for the Dharma to be sustained forever. It's not just me or us who want to be free from samsara and its snares. There's gazillions of sentient beings out there, some of whom are on the path. Some of them are moving towards the path, and many of them have no clue that there is a path. All these beings will at some point meet and practice the Dharma to attain awakening. May it be sooner or later. That's the path that we chose. And it's much easier to go with guides. That's what we're here for, until the end of the future.